Hi everyone. In this session, we are going to build a recruitment project using Creo AI. We will just move on to our collab notebook and rename our project to recruitment project. Then we will start by installing the required libraries. Here we are installing Creo AI tools and LangChain community. The versions are mentioned on the screen. It will take a little time to install. And then we will move on to install PyPDF2 and Python docs. We are installing these libraries so that we are able to read the PDF files as well as the doc files. Since we will be asking the user to upload the job description as well as the resume files, that is why we are importing these tools into our project. Then we will move on to some warning controls. And then we will import OpenAI from LangChain, and then we will set up our OpenAI API keys and models. We are again using os.environ here to set up our model as well as our API keys. We are saving our API keys into the environment. I am leaving the placeholders here. You can just log into the websites and generate your own API keys. You can specify your own model which you want to use here. The next block contains the import of the tools. We will import agent, task, crew and process from Creo AI. Then we have some other tools. For example, we will be importing base tool. We will be using this in next block for creating our custom tools. Then we are importing PyPDF2, which is for reading PDF files. Then we have docs, which is to read the doc files. Then JSON, since we will be using JSON format here. And then we will import dict and list. We will initialize LangChain OpenAI LLM. We will just use this piece of code to specify our LLM, and then we'll store our model into variable LLM. I'm specifying my model as GPT-4o mini. You can use any model according to your choice and requirement. I will just set up the API key and will access it through the environment variable. The next step is to create custom tools. In last project, we did not create any custom tools. We used the inbuilt tools from Creo AI tools. In this, we'll first import the inbuilt tools, which are FileRead tool and SerperDev tool. And using the base tool, we will create our custom tool. SerperDev tool is basically used for the searching purpose. And then using the sentiment analysis tool class, we will create our custom tool for sentiment analysis. This tool will be used in future for generating personalized email for each of the candidates, and we will provide the name, then the description, which is to analyze the sentiment of text to ensure positive and engaging communication. Then we will return positive. We will just use this tool by storing it into variable sentiment analysis tool. The next section is to create agents as we created in previous project. We will initiate by creating the first agent, which is job description parser, which will parse through the job description document which will be uploaded by the user. It will be used to extract skills and other requirements for the job. It will contain all the information of the company. The format for the agent remains the same. It contains some of the attributes like role, goal, backstory, allow delegation, verbose. Then I am going to define other agents as well, which are resume parser agent, skill matcher agent, and candidate outreach agent. I will just add the role, goals, and backstory for each one of them, and I will just cut short the video and add the role, goals, and backstory directly. Yes. Now we are done with all the agents, and now we will move on to next step, which is to define tasks. So we'll just create a heading for defining task, and then we'll start defining the task. The first task here is job description parsing task, which is for the parser agent obviously. And for the task, the attributes are description, expected output, and the agent to which the task is assigned to. So for the job description parsing task, we have job description parser agent. Then for next, we have resume parsing task, then skill matching task, and the last is candidate outreaching task. The attributes are same for each one of them, and I'll just add the description, expected output, and agent for each one of them. Now we are done with job description parsing task, and we will add the description for resume parsing task. And in same way, we'll edit all the tasks These are all the tasks which I have defined. In the job description parsing task, I have set the user input into the variable job description, which will contain all the skills and requirements. I have also specified that do not add any extra information. It should be job description actually. Yes. And in the same way, we are done with the resume parsing task. Then we have skill matching task, which gives the output as a compatibility score. Then we have the candidate outreach task, which basically generates a personalized email, and the format we have included in the task itself so that there's no confusion for the agent. The tool which we are going to use here is sentiment analysis tool, which we defined earlier. The next block will contain the function to define the file reading, and we will create a function named as read file. It will basically receive the file path which will be given by the user, and we are just putting a condition that if it ends with .pdf, then we will run another function which is for reading PDF files, and the function is named as read PDF. It will receive the same input file path. Else if the file ends with .docs, then it will go for another function which is for reading doc files. We will be defining the functions later in this block itself, and now we will define another function which is read PDF. This function will open the file and then read the file pages. We will just read our PDFs using the PyPDF2 which we imported earlier, and we will run a loop for reading each of the pages and then saving them into a string format. This function will be used to extract all the information from PDF, and then it will be stored into a text format. Then we will define another function for reading the docs file, which will again receive the file path. This function will read the file using the docs which we imported earlier, and then in the same way as we did in the read PDF, we will read the text from the document and then store it in the string format, and then return the string which is stored in variable text. Therefore, we are done with the read file function. We will move on to next block, which is for defining and running our crew. We will name this crew as HR crew, and we will define the agents, then the tasks. These are automatically suggested in our collab notebook. Then we will specify our manager LLM, which will basically contain our model, and the temperature, which we are going to set to 0.7. Then we also have the verbose and the memory, which we are setting both as true. Then we will set up the entry point, and in this we will start by asking the user to enter the job description path and the resume paths. Since we are planning here for multiple resumes, so we will ask the user to enter the paths of the resumes using commas, and then we will just split the paths using dot split. And then the first thing which we have to do is to read the job description. We will use the read file function which we created earlier. This is basically used to read the files, whether they are in PDF or docs file, and then they will be passed on to our agents so that they can parse through the text which we have provided them, and then they can extract the important information from the text. The next thing which we are going to do is generating two lists, which are selected candidates and unselected ones. Since we have multiple resume file paths here, so we will just run a for loop for reading each of the file paths. We will just strip any of the extra spaces, and then we will just run our crew using kickoff function and enter our inputs, which are for job description and resume text. We are defining these variables here because we have used these variables in the tasks above, so we will just define them here. And then since the information provided can be in string format, so we need it to be in JSON format, so we will just use this block to convert it into JSON format or simply dictionary format, so that it is easy for us to extract the information which we require. So we will just store the information into result dict using json.loads. We are just using try and accept block here so that there is no error decoding the results into JSON format. Else, if the data is already in dictionary format, so we will just pass the result simply into the result dict, else we will define it as that this is not the expected result. Then the next step is to print the results. This is some of the information which we are going to print for the selected candidates, and the same we are going to do for the unselected ones. We will print the candidate name, the compatibility score, and the email draft for the selected ones. And for the unselected ones, we will only generate the name and the compatibility score. Then we will move on to run our each of the blocks, and we will run our agent block, then the task block. It runs successfully, and then we will run the read file function. Then we will run our crew block. It will ask us to upload the path for our job description. Since we are running this code in our Collab notebook, so we first need to upload our files into the Collab notebook itself. So I have just uploaded my sample resumes and sample job description into it, and then I have entered the path of the files, and therefore our multi-agent system has started providing the results. Let's wait to provide the full results, and then we'll move upwards to see how the results are produced. And yes, the results are produced. So we will just move upwards, and it has started with the agent job description parser. This is basically the job description information, and it has converted the information into JSON format so that it is easy for us to access the information. This is the resume parser, which reads the name, the educational qualifications, technical skills, the work experience, and other things which are mentioned in the resume. Now it has again converted it into JSON format. Then we have the skill matcher agent, which generates compatibility score of 0.85, and it has provided some insights and comparisons. And then now the candidate outreaching agent has provided the personalized email, which reads as Dear Rohan Sharma, and it contains the job description details and everything, and the interview slots also. This is the final personalized email which it has generated. The second resume which I uploaded was of Alex Johnson, which is basically not a software developer. So let's read it. He is basically a marketing person who has done BBA. Then the compatibility score it has generated is 0.0. So this is our final answer. It has only generated the mail for Rohan Sharma, which is a software person. Thank you everyone. Stay tuned.